Hello, my name is tounfadugba, and today I would like to share the first in the series of some life lessons. Today's lesson is avoiding the trap of self-sufficiency. You know, the world teaches us to be self-sufficient, but I have learned that as Christians, we should not go by that. Our sufficiency is not in ourselves, but our sufficiency is in God, because God is our source. God is our maker, He's our creator, and He is our only source. That is one key lesson that I have learned in life, such that every single success of my life I attribute to God. I can't attribute any of my successes to myself, because I have realized that in myself I am not sufficient. You know, John 15:5 says that I am the vine and you are the branches. If you abide in me and I abide in you, you will bear much fruit. It says, for without me you can do nothing. This was Jesus teaching, and he said, without me you can do nothing. He is the vine, we are the branches. You know, we can only exist when we are connected to him. We can only perform when we are connected to him. We can only succeed when we are connected to him. He is our source. I've learned to trust wholly in God, not just only, when I'm in trouble and it's obvious that I need God, but even when everything is going well. Not only when I want to make big decisions, but also when I want to make small decisions. You know, the Bible says that we should trust in the Lord with all our hearts. We should acknowledge him in all our ways, and he will direct our path. And that has really come through in my life as I learned to trust him in every single thing. I discovered that God created us this way, and he expects us to depend on him as our source. There's a story in the Old Testament where we see of the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness. They were on their way to the promised land, and there was no food. And God actually divinely provided food for them. He provided miraculous food called the manna. But it's so interesting that God told Moses, their leader, to tell them that that manna, they could have as much as they wanted every single day. God provided it. But that they must never keep any leftovers till the following day. So the following day, they wake up again, God provides the manna, they have as much as they want, but then they dispose of the remaining one. And then the following day again, they trust God and he gives them another manna. I believe there's a reason that God did that. He is passing across a message that we should depend on him. You see, I've seen God intervene in so many things in my life. Even like the everyday little things that I do, little decisions I take, everyday little actions. And I just see him show up in all those little things. Those are the moments that I treasure so much. Those moments really make me worship and adore God even more than maybe some of the big things. Because those little things, it just makes me feel that, oh wow, God, so you are even interested in this little tiny part of my life. Yes, he is. The Bible says that the very hairs of our head, every strand of the hair of our head, they are numbered by him. I mean, can you imagine what that means? Every strand of hair, he knows. So that means he cares about the very minute details of our lives. And that's why I can always depend on him. That's why I can always trust him to be my own sufficiency and not to trust in myself. I can't trust in myself. I don't even have the power. Everything that I think I know, that I think I have mastered, God knows a zillion times. Let me talk like some of the kids will say. He knows a zillion times more than the knowledge that I think I have. So why wouldn't I trust him? You see, God is limitless. But as human beings, no matter how much we know, we have limits. So why would I stick to the one who has limits? Whether it's another human being or whether it is myself. Whatever possibilities that I think there are so many more possibilities that if I depend on him, he can reveal to me. See, there's one big risk in dependence on self and feeling self-sufficient. And that risk I see in the Bible in Proverbs 14:12. It's actually a twin verse. We also see that in Proverbs 16:25. And it says that there's a way that seems right unto man, and that the end of that way is destruction. That means if I'm self-sufficient and I depend on myself, I may actually feel that's the perfect way. Everything, humanly speaking, may point at that way being the perfect way. But it says that it seems so right to me, but the end of that way could be destruction. It's very risky when we are self-sufficient. There are a couple of examples in the Bible. The story of Abraham and Sarah. They thought they could help God. They thought they were self-sufficient. I mean, God had promised them they were going to have a child. And here she was getting older, he was getting older, there was no pregnancy, there was no baby. So they felt that, I mean, they had a maid, they had a young maid who was capable of having children. So they had everything all set out, they had everything all planned out, and they planned to have a baby through Hagar. And yes, they actually did, they actually had a baby. But Hagar became a major problem to Sarah, and the baby they had became a problem. Up till now, the offspring of Hagar are still fighting with Christians today, just because Abraham and Sarah felt that they were self-sufficient. They felt they had everything they needed to solve their problem, so they could go ahead without dependence on God. It's very risky when we do that. We never get the right results when we do that. You know, it's either we do not get the right results, or we limit ourselves such that in our own eyes we feel that we have some great results. But if we had dependent on God, those results would have been way much greater than the results that we come out with when we do it our own way and we feel that we know it all, we've mastered it. You know, I don't need God in this matter. I can do it all on my own. I went to school, I studied hard, I have my master's, I have my PhD, I worked hard for my money, I have my money, I can do what I like with my money, and all that stuff. You see, you stand the risk of losing so much when you do that. You can never go wrong trusting in God and depending on Him for every single thing, acknowledging Him. Like, there's nothing too big to invite God into, and there's nothing too small to invite Him into. We should always acknowledge Him. It's not about us, but it's always about Him. That's why I love this song so much. Jesus at the center of it all. That's been one of my recent favorite songs. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it has always been, and it will always be you, Jesus. Jesus at the center of it all. You see, there's another story that comes to mind in the Bible about the rich man that had piled so much wealth for himself. He was self-sufficient. He thought he had everything to live for the next only God knows how many years, and maybe he also had an inheritance for his children, for his children's children. He thought he was all made. And then God told him that tonight I will request your soul. That was going to be the end of his life. That same night was going to be his end. We really need to plug into God as our source. And when you do so, you will see Him move in your life. When God sees your heart and He knows that you are not self-sufficient, He knows that you acknowledge Him in everything, that you trust Him for everything, that you depend on Him for everything. You see Him showing up in everything in your life. I mean, I have experienced and enjoyed so much of God's favor in my life. And it is because I believe very strongly that one of the reasons is because I acknowledge Him in everything. Like, even at work, like all these years of my career, it has happened over and over and over again, where I just do something that I don't consider a big thing. But then everybody considers it a huge thing, a big thing. And it's like, wow, you've done this. Wow, God magnifies the little things that I do because I acknowledge Him, because I call Him into it, because I don't feel I know it all, because I still say, God, help me in this thing. It's a sweet experience when we depend always on God as our source. I mean, when I look at that verse, that John 15:5, that says, without me, you can do nothing. It's saying nothing, like absolutely nothing. That's how we ought to start rolling going forward. Connecting to God to that level that, see, God, without you, I can do nothing. I can't live without you. I can't move without you. I can't eat without you. I can't talk without you. I can't study without you. I can't understand anything without you. I can't relate to people without you. Even without you, I can't pray. Yes, because God helps us to pray the right way and to pray the right things. We need to have that attitude. Without me, you can do nothing. That's what He said. And for us to say back to Him and say, God, without you, I can do nothing. In you, I live. In you, I move. In you, I have my being. And then you really see God step in and take over and take charge. You see wonderful things happening for you when you put God in that position in your life and not yourself and not somebody else. This message is not in any way contradicting when we talk to ourselves and we say, oh, you better be self-confident, or when we teach our children to have confidence. It's in no way contradicting it. Basically, what we're saying is that you have that confidence because you trust in God, not because you trust in yourself, not because you trust in your power, but because you trust in the power of God that is working through you. Then you have that self-confidence. Then you show that confidence because you trust in God, not because you trust in yourself. In conclusion today, I just want to read out this verse. This is a very, very powerful verse. 2 Corinthians 4:7. It says, we now have this light shining in our hearts, but we ourselves, we are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. We ourselves, you and I, in ourselves, we are like fragile clay jars. Who would think a fragile clay jar is self-sufficient? But that's what many of us have been doing. You see, that great treasure, what makes us something, what gives us that power, is not us, it is God. The concluding part of this verse says, this makes it clear that our great power is from God and not from ourselves, because we are just like fragile clay jars, but we bear in us that great treasure of God. So we need to trust God and not ourselves. And when you do so, you will see Him show up in your life. There will be so many testimonies, I tell you, so many testimonies. In the little things, in the big things, you will just see Him move because you've given Him, you've said, over to you. You've said, over to you, God. Not me, but you. That's what you say when you are not self-sufficient, but when your sufficiency is of God. When you give it over to Him, of course, what kind of results would you expect? Those are the kind of results that will beat your imagination. Well, I think I'll end there for now on my first lesson, avoiding the trap of self-sufficiency. So until next time, stay blessed. By the grace of God, there are more lessons coming, so please stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. And please leave your comments, your testimonies. You know, do you have some testimonies of how God has really shown Himself when you have acknowledged Him in everything, in every way, you know? Let me have your comments. Thank you so, so much. And God bless you.